Mark Jeffries, and Matt Pangrak. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Luz, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Wow. Matt, a great show today. Very, very excited to talk to Kevin Wirth. And last night I was having some fun, man. I was going through the library of photos that we had, and his win on Old Hickory was, I believe, 12 years ago. 2008.
Wow, that's
is the right year. 12 years ago, and I found some really, really cool pictures. Found some pictures of some other guys, too, that hopefully we will have on the show in the future. And it was really, really cool to kind of reminisce about some of that stuff that happened in 2008 and 2009, you know, back in the heyday. Mm-hmm. And it was funny, too, because when I talked to Kevin about getting this set up, he's like, well, what are we going to talk about? And I gave him like a list of 4 or 5 things, and he's like, oh, that's going to be cool. I haven't talked about that stuff for years.
Now, you've been teasing that he wants to get back into the fishing game.
He does. He does.
How seriously?
Not at the highest level, obviously, but, you know, BFLs, little teen tournaments, stuff like that. We'll talk to him about that.
I got a question for you, Mark.
Yeah.
Do you believe in subliminal messaging?
Not really. Not really. What do you got?
Prove you wrong on that?
What do you got?
Will you swivel around and look at that picture that you have on the wall there? Now, you've rearranged over the past month, so you've had to look at it. Will you name who's on those photos?
What you got? Iconelli?
No. The bottom one. The gray one.
Oh, Preston Clark.
When did we have him on? Very recently, didn't we?
Yeah.
After not talking to him for a decade.
Yeah. Aaron Martins.
We had him on very recently. Obviously, hopefully Aaron's doing good. It looks like he's still fishing. But still, we had him on very recently.
Yeah. Kevin Wirth.
We have him on today.
Yeah. And Greg Hackney.
And we just had him on recently.
Back from the Toyota days.
So I believe that subconsciously you see those pictures.
Yeah.
And you got him on as guests. The same way that the marketing and the advertising companies use subliminal messaging to get us to buy products.
I don't know about that.
Do you not think that's not a little weird? Think of all the hundreds of retired guys out there.
Yeah.
Think of everybody that has fished President past. And you got 4 guys with a photo that we've had on the show in the past 2 months, Mark.
I don't know. I can't explain that. That's not where I got the ideas from.
Just saw that.
You're always about the little weird kind of supernatural.
Well, that's not supernatural.
Whatever.
It's just subliminal messaging.
Whatever.
You see them, it's kind of in the
You're into that. All right, so good show today with Kevin. I want to let everybody know it has been outstanding, the number of entries that we have received so far for the Apex Bass Games. If you have not entered, go to basszone.com, enter. It doesn't cost anything. We're giving back to the fans. We're having this special BTL show that we're going to give away a bunch of stuff, and then there's a bunch of random fans that are going to get $300 prize packs from Luz and Strike King. So some very, very cool stuff there. But you got to sign up. You cannot win unless you sign up. So go to basszone.com and sign up for that, and we will have that special show, I believe, in June, the first week of June.
June 2nd. I thought you said it was. Now it's you sign up. So let's say 100 people sign up. They'll all have a chance to win something. But out of those 100, you'll randomly select 10?
10 for the $300 tackle packs. Luz/Strike King tackle packs. But there's certain criteria.
And then 2 of those people?
Not 2 of those.
Not 2 of the 10.
Right. 2 of the other people from everybody else that has signed up.
Will participate in what you are calling the
Apex Bass Games.
Why would you mix your bowling tour now with your bass fishing
Because
stuff?
the Apex is all about the triangle trying to get to the top. All right? You're trying to get to the top of the apex.
You could just call it the BTL Bass Games.
I don't know. I don't know. I like apex. I like that whole triangle thing. Anyway, the $100,000 pyramid, except it's not $100,000. So sign up if you have not signed up, and we're going to take care of all 3 batches of fans that watch us on the live show, on YouTube, and then obviously the ones that download the podcast on iTunes. So
very cool.
All right, there you have it.
So let's talk non-bass fishing for 5 minutes. You always talk to me about this interesting stuff you see on TV. I found a new show last night. Never heard of it before.
Okay.
It's called Songland.
I saw the promos for it. I didn't watch it.
Not a huge... last night's episode was Florida-Georgia line. I mean, I listen to their stuff when it comes on and stuff, but I don't go out of my way. And I was like, basically here's how I'll relate Songland to bass fishing.
Okay.
So you start out and they have, songwriters come in, basically like a audition, like American Idol stuff, and then the Florida Georgia line or the artist is there, and they listen to all these different original songs that these people come in and have made and wrote and sing. I'm not a music guy, so I don't know what the terminology is.
Okay, all right.
And then they end up picking one, and then they rework it and stuff, and then they record it, and it goes on one of their albums.
Okay.
So it's basically from the start of here's a songwriter with an idea, he listens to it, and then it goes all the way through, and then at the end, they go live with the recorded version of the Florida Georgia line.
Okay.
I think this song they did was called Second Chances or something.
I just know of one song, and that's
it. One more second or something like that. Anyway.
They did a song with Nelly.
But it was really cool because you got to see the thing through the whole process. There was a lot of talented, good songwriters. I said it kind of reminded me of the difference between just seeing a guy fish on Bass Live on the final day on Sunday when he's dialed in and has his pattern and everything, and then being able to follow him through showing up at the lake, practice, developing the pattern, refining the pattern, and fishing the first 3 days to get to the final product. And I knew all this stuff went on behind the scenes in music, obviously, just like it does at everything. But it's cool kind of seeing the system at bass fishing and then seeing how it works, obviously, on a shiny, organized level there in the music industry because they turned it into an hour-long TV show. But I found it fascinating, and I enjoyed it, and I liked the song. I listened to it 3 times on the way here.
Yeah.
So that's my new favorite song.
Okay.
Song.
All right.
Show.
What's it called again?
Songland.
That's right. Yeah, I saw the promos for it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right. Here, I'm going to read some names off to you, my friend. Tommy Biffle, Brent Chapman, Jason Christie, Lou Clausen, Cliff Crochet, Ott Defo, Shin Fukai, Greg Hackney, Mike Iaconelli, Chris Lane, Jared Littner, Ish Monroe, Andy Montgomery, Takahiro Omori. Let me keep going here. Jacob Peraznik, Marty Robinson, Mark Rose, Fletcher Shryock, Jeff Sprague, Scott Suggs, Randall Tharp, Kevin Van Dam, and Greg Vincent. What do all those people have in common?
Are those the only BPT guys not fishing the FLW Pro Circuit?
That is correct. That's quite the stout field right there that is not fishing.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of big names that you didn't say in that list.
Dude, I am shocked at some of these names.
That aren't fishing?
That are not fishing.
Why are you shocked?
Greg Hackney? I'm sure he's got a reason. I'm sure there's a good reason. Jason Christie? Let me keep going here. Kevin Van Dam?
Yeah, I could see him not fishing.
Why? Because he's the GOAT?
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on. He's still got the other 2 tournaments. He's been stepping up his social media game.
How about Andy Montgomery? Now, okay. I haven't talked to any of these guys.
Here's the deal, and I talked to a couple of the guys about this. Like I said, part of the field is fishing because in order to fulfill their sponsor contracts, they have to fish 8 regular season events or X number of regular season events, tour level events.
Yeah,
I believe is how it's professional events. So you get the 5 BPT events that they'll fish, and then the 3 FLW Pro Circuit events. That makes 8. So that sponsor contract is now fulfilled so they can get paid so that you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've got a group that really miss the competition. They really want to fish the tournaments, compete. They miss competing, and they have the funding to do it. So there's a group there, right?
Okay.
Then you've got the group of guys that I think are just doing it because it's what they do and it's available. They can. You see what I'm saying? And then you've got a group of guys with no sponsor obligations. So they're not losing anything out on their contracts. Maybe they have something else going on as far as kind of planning for the year, whether it be a YouTube or a TV show or something like that keeps their numbers up and keeps them in the limelight. And maybe there's some guys who don't want to shell out $15,000 to fish 3 tournaments and travel across the country and spend all that time practicing and competing after they've grown accustomed to a year and a half with no entry fees, and maybe things are a little tight for some of them.
All right, now, we have no idea on that. You might, because you're in the know.
Yeah, I've talked to several.
Okay, are some of these guys planning on fishing the Opens? Do you think?
I know. Yes.
So,
well, there's some of those guys on that list that already did fish an Open.
Yeah.
Which doesn't take much sleuthing to figure out those names.
No.
But
I man, dude, that's some big names there that are not going to be competing in the super tournaments.
If you remember, and there could be some that decided not to compete in the super tournaments, but are going to fish a couple divisions of the Toyota Series, right?
Now, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. So let me see if I get this right. So you're saying that these guys are not going to fish the super tournaments, but they're going to fish the Costas.
You can fish an entire season of a Toyota Series and qualify for a $250,000 championship for the same price as one super tournament. And if you're in the South, those lakes would be in your wheelhouse and you wouldn't have to travel. So, yeah, the entry fee is only $17.
Do you know any of them that are doing that?
No, but I believe you'll see a lot in the Toyota Series.
Okay, so that's not the same thing though. Those guys are fishing everything that they want to fish because that's what they do. If they fish the Tackle Warehouse FLW Super Series or whatever it's called, and then they fish the Costas.
They're not Costas, they're the Toyota Series and the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit.
Whatever. Same thing. I mean, everybody knows what we're talking about.
We're not going down this path.
I'm just asking you a question. You're telling me that they may not fish to make and have an opportunity for $125,000 because they don't want to travel? That's what you just said.
No, I didn't say that.
That
I
is
said
what
that's
you
part
just
of the
said.
element. Not because it's in their home lake. If you're in the Southeast Division, let's say you don't have a sponsor that's paying all of your stuff. Let's say you don't have $15,000 to $20,000 laying around to pay for the 3 tournaments that you weren't planning on having to pay for at the beginning of the year, and you can slide into a Toyota Series that can qualify you for the championship and
I can't
fish
even
all
believe
3 at $1,700 a tournament with the payouts, especially if they run a Phoenix Bass boat with the incentives that are there and the championship on Cumberland, and you feel like you could catch them. Don't put your hand up at me. You can get a good return on your investment by fishing a Toyota Series or 2 Toyota Series and have still compete at that high level. A lot of those guys fished them anyway.
Here's how I'm going to respond to that, man.
That's not even a controversial statement, Mark.
That is totally against the premise that you ripped me a new one for last week.
That has nothing to do with the premise. The Toyota Series is open for anybody. You don't have to qualify to fish the Toyota Series. You know how you have to qualify? You have to give them $1,700 and say, I want to fish the Toyota Series.
So it's okay for the guys on this list to fish a AA.
Hell yeah.
But it's not okay for them to fish a AAA.
I didn't ever say it wasn't okay for them to fish it. I never said that. Don't put words in my mouth like that. Okay, I never said it wasn't okay for him to fish the pro circuit, and I understand, and I would probably be in that position if I was in it and do the exact same thing. But the Toyota Series is open to anybody who wants to compete in it. If you've never picked up a rod and reel, you pay your $1,700 and do it. If you're Kevin Van Dam, you pay your $1,700 and do it. The FLW Pro Circuit is not open. It is a qualifying process. You're promised certain things. I'm not promised in the Toyota Series who I'm competing against. I could be competing against all 80. The 200-boat Toyota Series tournament could have 85 Elite Series anglers, 80 BPT anglers, and 40 of the biggest local sticks in the entire lake. That's fine. That's the Toyota Series. Don't even go down that path. I'm just saying that's an option to where some of those guys who aren't on that list, I could see, it's okay. Hell yeah, it's okay. I never said it wasn't okay.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay for them to fish a AA thing.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not okay for them to fish.
I never said it wasn't okay. We got to move on. My blood pressure rises on this. We yell at each other off air about this way too much. I can tell I'm not in a good mood for it.
Once again, no explanation from a COVID-19. Once again, I mean, folks, we kind of got into it yesterday in the studio because I received an email, and I'm not even going to say who it was from, that backed my premise 100%. I will say this. It was an angler that is fishing the FLW Tour.
And I showed you an angler that was fishing the FLW Tour that sent me an email that was completely in my
I was going to mention that.
Dude, I don't know why you are so stuck on this. I don't know why it bugs you so much.
Because this whole situation is a result of something that this nation has never seen before. And all those explanations and people that are pissed off about this, every single time that I get an email or you make a comment, you never bring up COVID-19. This situation does not take place if the COVID-19 situation does not occur in this nation.
I just said there might have been other options around it to be beneficial to all the anglers and not hurt one group of anglers. I just don't understand why you jump down my throat every time this comes out. You just say the same thing over and over, except louder and angrier.
Because you never mention COVID-19. That's what pisses me off. All right? This is something that nobody could control. Was there an option?
And I understand that was a valid point. Yes, it was. That was a valid point because the day after we had that discussion, what did I come on? I talked to 2 or 3 of the BPT anglers. I talked to 2 of the FLW anglers. I ran all the numbers. I read the articles that they came out with. I came back in and what did I say? Hey, actually, look at how much deeper they're paying the field. Look at the $10,000. Yeah, they're adding 56 guys, and they're only paying 26 more spots, but those 26 more spots all get paid more instead of $500 and $7,500. There is the opportunity there. They did add the $25,000 for first. Go back and listen to that replay of the show. I do understand it. I do understand the COVID-19 situation.
That's all I need to hear, man. All right, because the emails and the hateful comments that have been made that are not on my side, all I'm pointing out is, folks, this situation does not occur if it wasn't for the COVID-19 situation.
I agree, 100%. You can't disagree with that.
Was there an other option out there that could have been done to totally get rid of this entire situation? The answer is yes. But it could not happen from a business standpoint. It just couldn't happen.
Fair enough. I agree with all those statements.
All right. That's it.
100% agree with all those statements.
We're moving on. It's just, I think it's kind of a shame because what are your thoughts on this real quick, Matt? If some of those guys that are on that list that I just read fish the Super Tournament, it could have been one of the greatest fields in bass fishing ever.
I think it still is.
And it probably still is.
Read the list. Yeah. Here, pull up the list of the guys who are fishing.
Dude, I agree. And it still might be the greatest field in the history of a large bass fishing field of 200 anglers.
It's going to be like 206 anglers.
It's crazy. Can't wait to see it.
Hold on. ML, okay, listen to this. Casey Ashley, Classic champ. Mm-hmm. Justin Atkins, Cup.
There's 56, I believe.
But I'm just going to highlight some of the names. So, I mean, all these guys are really, really good.
Okay.
But Casey Ashley, Classic champ. Justin Atkins, Cup champ. Zach Burge, Costa Championship. Stephen Browning, All-American. Mark Davis, AOY, Classic champ. Boyd Duckett, classic champ. David Dudley. I'm doing all this off the top of my head, so if I'm wrong, don't shove
keep
down
going.
my throat. David Dudley, 3 or 4-time Angler of the Year.
Might be 4.
Paul Elias, classic champ. Edwin Evers, Redcrest, classic champ. Todd Fairclough, 6-time Elite Series winner. Anthony Gagliardi, Cup champ. Randy Howell, classic champ. Alton Jones, classic champ. Jordan Lee, 2-time classic champ. Justin Lucas, AOY. Andy Morgan, the GOAT, he's back. John Murray, father of the West Coast. What do they call him? The West Coast father?
Yeah.
Dad of the West Coast?
Yeah.
The West Coast dad? I don't think that's it. Cliff Pace, classic champ. Skeet Reese, classic champ. Deed Rojas, heaviest 5 bass limit in history. Brian Thrift, Anglers of the Year, Cup champ. Jacob Wheeler. I mean, dude.
Now go down the FLW list. Just hit a few highlights on those names.
Well, it's the same that fish
exactly
the first 3.
So you might be dead on. I think you're right, man. This might be the greatest 200 angler field in the history of fishing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll start it off with Miles Berghoff. He's your man. He's your boy. If I left him out, we'd have a whole nother fight there.
I haven't even had him on the show, man. Jeez.
Obviously, John Cox is still on the list. There's 150 here. It's hard to even pick them.
No, but
pick them out of there. I mean,
some of the guys.
You got multiple Cup champs that are still in there.
So I think you're right. I think this might be the greatest
champs,
the greatest field in the history of bass fishing. Could be. I don't know. Like to hear what the fans have to say about that. Anyway, so some big names in the field. Obviously, some big names not fishing in the field. And you talk to these guys. I talked to a few of these guys. I'm just going to do a little research and see what their reasoning is. And I'm sure they all have really good reasons why they're not fishing.
Yep.
So it is what it is.
To wrap it up, I never said that I didn't think they shouldn't fish. I understand why they are. I understand the position they've been in. I understand the position of the business that MLF has, and that they purchase FLW for a reason, and they have to try to keep both organizations relevant, profitable, and happy. And in a situation like this, there's no way that you're going to be able to keep everyone happy. But if it means the survival of one of the leagues or organizations, or the survival of anglers in one of those leagues, to come together for 3 tournaments in a one-off that we'll look back 5 years from now and go, oh, that was crazy when they all did that deal and fished 3, then I'm 100% all for that. I don't want to leave any group out in the cold or screw any group that's there.
Agree with you 100%, man. That's good stuff right there. All right, you ready to talk about the past?
Yeah.
A little 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Talk a little, what was it? Was it lobster?
No, it's crab legs at was it Hooters?
I think so. I actually have a photo of that. Then we're going to talk to him about
crab legs
that.
At the Hooters.
Yeah. It was right across the street from the hotel that we were staying at and Kevin Wirth was staying at during that event.
Yeah. Who else did we eat with? It was me, you, Kevin Wirth, Harold, Alan.
Yeah.
I want to say there were a couple other. Was Duckett?
No, it was
Errol and Boyd.
Who was the guy that was Rookie of the Year that was a Yamaha guy that quit?
Wolak?
Yeah, it was Dave Wolak.
You sure?
I think it was Dave Wolak.
We did kind of hang out with him back in the day.
I think Wolak was there too. All right, so we're going to take our first break, come back, and talk a little Old Hickory with Kevin Wirth. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, live sight transducer, or Structure Scan 3D, and get up to $500 cash back.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
That's so fun.
My whole team ready. Big dreams, big things we want. Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. And real quick.
Oh, you did find a picture.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the Hooters.
Yeah.
The picture.
Yeah, do you remember that?
He's in the Hooters.
I'll throw it up later. I'll throw it up here in a minute.
He's got the I've been fishing for 15 straight days face tan going on, and he's just got mountains of crab legs in either hand.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, real quick, after we have Kevin on, I will explain. There's been some questions on the instant feedback about the market, the banner that's on the main page of the Pass
kind of popped up, didn't it?
I know. So I will kind of tease that a little bit after we have Kevin on. But it is time to bring in our guest. And, Matt, you mentioned that picture on the back wall. Honestly, I didn't even remember that picture being there. Being of Kevin.
That's, I said it's subliminal.
I had no idea.
Subliminal messaging. But it's a cool picture.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So let's bring him in now. Kevin, you there, man?
I'm here. How you guys doing this morning?
Doing good, man. It is so good to see you. I know it's been a while. It's been 12 years since that infamous evening where you were pounding down the crab legs, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm paying for it now. The age has put it on. The one pack has grown a little bit.
All right, let's see here. I'm going to throw that shot up again so the people can see it. But what was the deal with the crab legs? Was it superstitious? Were you just like, man, I'm catching them. I'm going to have crab legs every single night? What was the deal on that?
I think it was. We went in there the first night, right before the first day of competition. I had crab legs, and I caught them really good the next day, and so we had to have crab legs every night after that until we won the tournament.
That was awesome. Just piles and piles of crab legs. I think the legend even partaked, Matthew, one night.
You know, a little in his mustache.
All right, man, 12 years. I can't believe it's been that long. But when I reached out to you and we had that initial conversation, dude, it sounds like that you're wanting to get back in the game a little bit.
Well, you know, after a while you miss it. And you love, you know, it's in your blood, and you love being on the water, love being competitive. So I got some strange, weird vibe this winter, and I decided to go maybe just fish a couple, you know, small tournaments, the BFLs or something, and just kind of see how my body and mind reacted to it. And it really didn't react. My body didn't react real well. I went 12 straight days. It's the first time I've been on the water in, 8 years or something like that. So it took its toll. So I had to give my body, good thing the COVID-19 come along and gave my body a little rest, maybe stay in the house for a while.
Wow. So how did it go fishing-wise?
I think it went well. I got a little paycheck there, and I think I was one bite away from winning the one that I fished. So, I was kind of happy outside of the body, and breaking down a little bit.
Yeah. So what's tougher on the body, being a jockey or bass fishing?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I think they're both equally as bad. The pounding on the water and the hours you put in day in day out on the water, can really take its toll, and especially as you get a little age on you, it's not good.
For those fans out there, we have a lot of young viewers. They may not realize that you have spent and you still are heavily involved in the horse racing business, and that jockey life. What's the jockey life compared to the professional bass fishing life? I mean, are you on the road all the time? Is it practice? Is it really, really tough, Kevin?
Yeah, your days as a jockey, might start every morning around 5 a.m. and you'll go for about the training hours are about 4 or 5 hours to about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it's the pressure of getting your mounts, for the quality mounts all the time, and you're self-employed the same way, so you're always under pressure to perform, and with that being said, jockey wise, as I'm kind of a little bit taller, so I had a little bit struggle with my weight, and I had to really work at reducing every day and losing 3, 4, 5 pounds every day, so he was under pressure of doing that and then performing well all at the same time. So you relate that into fishing, you get on the water and you go all day without eating, it kind of prepares you for that. You're under pressure all the time to perform. You not only get a paycheck and produce for your sponsors, that's all a part of it. And if you're not producing, you're not going anywhere.
Kevin, one of the things that I remember is the last tournament that you fished with bass, which would have been the 2012 Classic. And I don't think a lot of people realize that had you had a better first day, man, you'd have been right there in the mix challenging Chris Lane. And I remember the kind of farewell speech and you getting emotional on stage, and you got a standing ovation from the crowd and all that. What do you remember about that final tournament and kind of the emotions and your memories of that thing?
Well, I remember it very vividly, as well as I can recall on a lot of them the same way. But, that I haven't, I think we finished up the tour in June of that year, and I was only on the water from June to that Classic one time, which was in October, and I had to do an early times promotional deal thing, that sweepstakes thing. And then I come back, and, I think then we had the 3 practice days, a couple days, and then you had a couple days off, and then one. I didn't even use all 3 of my practice days, and hadn't, because it rained and got in the 20s or 30s, and it was cold, and I said, I'm not going out. I stayed in the room and watched movies all day that day, and which is really abnormal. I just didn't put a lot into that Classic work-wise. I didn't go over there before off limits, but being said, with having that much time off of the water from the June into that next February, and then the first day of competition comes around and making a long run, not a whole lot of fish time, I got a little spun out, which is easy to do, even when you're, doing it every day and fishing tournaments week after week, it's real easy to get spun out real quick. And I did there the first day, and until I started to settle down and really get into what I was doing, that's when everything started coming together, and I started making some good decisions and good moves on the water and that kind of thing.
Kevin, what was it like representing a whiskey company?
It was awesome. You know, it taught me.
I mean, I want some stories here, dude. I can't imagine how cool in some of the events that you had to go to representing a whiskey company.
Well, we had some pretty good events. We had the simulator there for a while, and we went and I could probably tell some pretty wild stories on that, but we're not going to go that deep.
We can. I mean.
But it was really good. We did a lot of promotional deals, with the fishing simulator and some late nights with it, and the perks of it. We got a lot of whiskey and had a lot of good times.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the event that you won on Old Hickory, and I actually have a photo of the two baits that you used to really capture your blue trophy. One was a buzzbait, and the other one was a soft plastic. Do you remember those? Because I'm going to flash it up for all the fans.
It was a white lunker lure buzzbait that I helped design back then. It had a little bit of a pickled blade on it, what we call a pickle blade. They kind of thinned the blade down a little bit, and it just had a better squall. And the other was a creature bait that I threw it on 3/8 ounce, 20-pound fluorocarbon, which is it was a line that Berkeley. I don't really ever think come out with the market real good, but it was one of the better lines, and I still have tons of it here at my house. And 8 years later, I picked it up and threw it at that tournament this winter in March, and never had a problem with it. So,
there you have it. Wow.
I mean,
Bionic
it's
line.
I'd really like to see it come out on the market because it just never did, and I don't know why it didn't.
Interesting. So when we reflect back 12 years ago, how was your prep for that tournament? I mean, was that one of those tournaments that you felt like that you were totally dialed in and expected to have a shot to win?
Absolutely. I felt like we come off a tournament at Kentucky Lake, and I knew a lot of guys were really thinking ledges and shell beds and offshore, but they was working on the Cumberland Dam up there, and they wasn't releasing any water. So I knew that current was going to kill that offshore bite. So I actually went for more territorial fish and went, to the back ends of creeks. And the actual way I found it was it was the first time we was able to lock out and go down. And I went down all the way past Nashville on the Cumberland River down there and found a couple little creeks and found that pattern down there. And then I just brought it up lake the second practice day and started applying it there. And when I did, that's when it really started all coming together really well. I think I wound up, I don't know, somewhere around 25 miles up the river up there at one of the creeks. I'm not sure how far both of the creeks that I really caught them out of was how far they was up there, but they was a long way.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, was that a rescheduled tournament? Like it wasn't originally on the schedule or the time or something? I'm trying to look it up now, but I feel like it was kind of one of those deals where it wasn't on the schedule originally.
I think you might be right on that. I wouldn't be totally honest. I don't remember that part of it, but you could be right.
Yeah, I've got it right here. I've just pulled it up. June 24th, 2008. Massive flooding along the Mississippi River has forced the 9th event of the Elite Series to Old Hickory Lake. Anglers and tournament directors were all looking forward to fishing the Mississippi, but lack of dry land will be the undoing of what would have been the first Elite Series event to be held in Fort Madison, Iowa.
There you have it.
That made my day.
I can't believe I remember that. I remember that it was one of the first rescheduled that they'd had in Elite Series history.
You know what's interesting too? In 12 years, they haven't been back. That's the only time that they've had an Elite Series event at Old Hickory, and I thought it was a great body of water. I thought that tournament was very, very entertaining. I think I didn't look it up. Didn't Bill Lowen finished second.
Yeah, he did. Weren't you fishing like also some like random logs and stuff that were out in the middle on like flats off of the channel? I remember watching you pitch to those things and catch some key fish off of them.
Yes, yeah, it was very shallow water, on the flats and the backs of the creeks. It could be just a twig sticking out there, and I think 2 days consecutive I caught 2 4-pounders off the same twig.
Jeez.
I run, and actually I think the funny story about that one is I run up the final day to way up the river real late in the day, and I got up there and I caught one up there, and there was a baptism going on up there.
Oh, and people in the water?
in the water, yeah. And, so they said they'd say a little prayer for me, so it worked out.
Wirth, the word is out that he's making a comeback. He's already got sponsors ringing the phone trying to get.
No, actually, that was Bill Lowen because he's still pissed off that he finished in second.
That's a Hooters sponsorship coming down.
Wow. All right, Kevin, do you follow what's going on in the sport? Do you watch some of the Elite Series and the MLF stuff on television? What do you do?
I have been lately, more than the last year. I've been watching quite a bit more than I have and trying to keep in touch with a few guys and calling them and talk to them a little bit. But, I was kind of away from it while the first few years I didn't pay any attention at all. So lately I've really been paying attention, and it's kind of making me itchy again, I guess.
Yeah. We're going to get to some of the instant feedback questions, but I want to ask this one real quick. Frank in Michigan wants to know, is there a lot of young kids out there that want to become jockeys?
Yeah, there kind of is, and the same thing about it is, it's all built in frame and size, and it takes a lot more to get to be there than just having the talent. If you're just not capable of doing it, you can't. You can't do it. You have to stay small. You have to keep your frame size small. So a lot of people grow out of the business within 3 or 4 years. Because they'll start around 17, 18 years old when their body frame's light, and then kind of grow into their main frame.
Wow. All right, let's do this, Kevin. We're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back and take some questions from the instant feedback for Kevin Wirth here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. One got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim-On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back with Kevin Wirth here on a Tuesday. Don't forget, tomorrow, Edwin Evers, and then on Thursday, Davey Height is going to join the show and talk a little bit about his break and get his take on the remainder of the Elite Series season.
We were talking in the break about the horse stuff. He's the horse.
What did you say? You pull like 50 horse teeth a day or more? Or?
Yeah, it's about what I average, somewhere in there. Anywhere from 30 to 70, I guess, you know, so 50 is a good number. I pull a lot.
Who would you say, what group is more nervous or out? Guys with their bass boats or horse owners when their stuff's getting worked on? Like, I feel like there's a parallel there. You know, I have guys like, stay, don't touch my bass boat. I only let one guy work on it. And then, like, the horse thing is like a whole nother level.
Yes, you know, because you got the backyard pony with that everybody thinks it's worth $1 million to them, and then you got the people that pay $1 million or $2 million for a horse. So they're, you know, and you know, especially when they get into the racing industry and or even the shows and saddlebreds, and you get ready, they performing, and you know, they might be running in 2 days or the next day or whatever it is, and they're just like, oh, watch what you do, you know, they get. So it's the same thing with the showing deal. When they show the saddlebreds, it's, you know, they start really getting nervous around, you know, so we plan certain schedules out around when they're going to run or show and all that kind of deal, and they don't get quite as nervous then. You got people who travel hundreds of miles because Kevin Wirth is the only one that they'll let touch their horse's teeth. Yes, absolutely. I have a lot of clients, and I travel across the country to do them. I leave out of here. It's about the end of February every year, and I make a trip to New Orleans, and then on over into Ocala, Florida, and then on down to Fort Lauderdale, and I do about 300 in about 35, 40 days. Wow. So it's a good day, but I do take some fishing rods with me and some golf clubs, and it gets me away from the house for the winter, so it's pretty good.
All right, let's go to the instant feedback. Joe in Kentucky wants to know, have you ever raced in the Kentucky Derby?
Yes, I did. In 1981, it was the biggest Derby field ever. It's when they used 3 starting gates, and actually I was in the 3rd starting gate out there with the only one horse on the outside of me. And if you notice, when you ever watch a Derby, that outside rail will kind of duck in a little bit. Well, when I loaded into the gate, I was looking nothing but the rail, and was real lucky that the 2 horses on the inside of me broke a little bit slow, and my horse had a little bit of speed and went out, and I just made a left-hand turn coming out of there. So
that's pretty cool.
Do they? Okay, so how does that work? So do they hire you to ride that horse? Are there like tryouts where they're like, oh, who's going to ride this one, and then everyone rides it? Is it? How does that work on how you decide what horse you end up on and how you get in the Derby?
Well, most jockeys have a jockey's agent, and really? they book all their mounts for them, and so, but then you have a discussion between there, and if you have like 3 horses going in one race or 5, or what's coming up, you have a discussion which one fits that race better, or which one has the better opportunity to win the races. So, like, and sometimes it comes down to, you do ride a lot of horses for, let's say, I know you probably heard of Bob Baffert.
Yeah.
So if he's one of your main clients, so you might give him preference to ride one of his horses in the Derby over someone else, even though it might not be, you might not think he can't win, but, or, he's not quite, he might not be the right horse. The other horse would be better.
Did you keep your silks from that Kentucky Derby?
Oh, no, they all belong to the owners. And so, actually, every owner has their own set of silks, and so every race you ride, you just change silks out and change your helmet covers out and those kind of things.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
So you've competed. I mean, you've taken off with the chance to win on the final day of the Bassmaster Classic, and you've been in the chute at the Kentucky Derby. So you've been at the top. You understand the subtleties and what it takes to get to the top. Kind of compare the two, because in fishing, I feel like people who don't fish go, oh, you just go out and you cast it, and if a fish bites it, and then if you don't know anything about horses, you get on the back of it and you hit it with the little buggy thing, and he goes around the track, and if he's fast, he wins. Which one do you think is more difficult to master?
Fishing. Fishing, I really do believe fishing is, because there's so many variables that can throw you curveballs at any time, and I think you spend 90% of your time searching and 10% of your time catching, and so picking up on those patterns and those 10% of the time is very crucial, and being able to act on them, and if you start getting in pressure situations, you know how it is, your mind doesn't work quite correct. But versus, in a race, you only have a split second to make a decision. So, and it could be life threatening when you make a wrong decision, if you decide to go in the wrong hole or that. The second part of that is you have to know pace with a horse. So if you're going, you know how fast you went that quarter in your brain. You know how fast you went that half a mile. When you finish up, and so you learn particular horse traits very quickly because you only see them one time. Make a lot of them one time, so you have to learn all those things in very small amount of time. So I think what that helped me transition over into the fishing is making good decisions and very quickly and using more common sense. And I don't think I had that much talent really in fishing wise, but just using common sense and those kind of decisions very quickly helped me achieve what I did over the years.
How much interaction did you have with Willie Shoemaker? I'm just curious.
In my younger days, quite a bit. I first met him when I was in New Jersey riding at the Meadowlands, and we spent quite a bit of time. Him and Angel Cordero, which he's one of the top Hall of Famers of all time, and Chris McCarron. I grew up with him. He's one of the greatest of all time. So. I had a lot of interaction with those kind of riders, but Willie Shoemaker at that time, it was like you looked up to him as like almost a god, in the thoroughbred racing industry, So it was very cool to be able to be around him and see what he's done, and you look at the past history of the racing, what it is.
I actually got to meet him. He had a meet and greet when the track opened up here in Oklahoma City. He actually made an appearance and rode like 2 races at Oklahoma City. It was like the second year it was opened up, but it was a big deal. It was obviously on the downhill of his performance and working toward retirement. But man, what a cool dude. I could talk to that guy forever.
Oh, he was a really interesting person. He was put in the oven as a baby, and that was his incubator, when he was little, because he's born prematurely, and so they stuck him in the oven to be his incubator.
Wow!
And so he was lucky to even survive and live.
Wow! For those fans out there that don't know, I mean, Willie Shoemaker, one of the greatest jockeys of all time. I mean, he's like the Kevin Van Dam.
Oh, absolutely. I think he won the Derby at 54 on Ferdinand. I think that was that was a major feat. I don't think anybody else was at that age, and he was all-time winningest rider. there for a long time. I think they just surpassed it. Maybe Pat Day got by it, or that Bays out in California. I think he might have got by it. They're around 10,000 races on their career, ever 9,500 races on their, which is like in my career in 4.5 years, I think I might win 500 or something.
Yeah.
So that's a big feat, and then all the great horses that they rode. That you just the Seabiscuits and the
Oh yeah.
all the horses that you hear about now that they talk about, Hall of Fame horses.
Very cool. All right, Matt, I hope I'm not walking into a trap again like I did with Byron.
Yeah.
All right, but Veltman in Virginia wants to know, ask Kevin about the squirrel hunt on the golf course. Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, I do. I think we was doing a Top Gun tournament. It was the top 30 ranked anglers in the world at the time, and I believe it was Mark Tucker, and Jeff Creed, and me, and I can't remember who else, but we was going on, and Tucker wanted to come along, and he says, I know how to play golf or something, and so he wanted to use one of my clubs and the driver, and he hits the driver, and the first hole he knocked it over top of the clubhouse. So, so then we go it was probably several holes later. Oh, come on, Cal, let me hit again. So he gets up, he goes to tee off, and he there's a squirrel right dead in the middle of the fairway down about 75 yards, and he hits it straight left. It hits a tree, comes across, kills the squirrel dead and snot right in the middle of the fairway.
Oh man!
What? That's a 1 in a million.
Wow!
Yeah, it's just the awesomest thing you've ever seen. I mean, it's bad for the squirrel, but we all fell out rolling on the ground. It was hilarious.
Wow, that's a bad shot, man. That's
the ricochet off the tree, off the squirrel.
Yes.
And if you know Mark Tucker, I mean, if he hits the ball with any velocity, he's yoked. He's a big man. He's a big, strong man.
Yeah.
He eats 3 dozen eggs every morning for breakfast.
Wow. All right. Well, I didn't get tricked on that one. That's a cool story. Kevin, how far do you think that you can get with this comeback? I mean, are you trying to fish, maybe one of the AAAs like the Coast? I don't know. What's the name now, Matt?
Toyota Series, Mark. The Toyota Series or the Bassmaster Opens would be the equivalent.
Yeah, I know the Opens. Do you think you'll get to that level where you'll try and fish some of those?
My daughter's got 2 more years in high school. She's a sophomore, and I think if she gets to college, which it'd probably take me that long to get wherever I want to go. But I really don't think I'll I don't know. It just, I play it by ear. After I sit back a while and after I had the little bout with this neck thing, I couldn't really fish when I fished the second tournament a week later, I couldn't really fish the way I needed to fish to be able to do any good. Yeah. And I did very poorly. So, my body contributed to a lot of that. But, really, I would like to be able to come back and pick my places I want to go fish but I want to stay on a high level. I don't want to stay down fishing where I'm at right now. Those kind of deals, I will not do that. I mean, I'll maybe come back if we can figure a way for me to come in and fish somewhere in the tour, somewhere, a tournament here and there and do that kind of thing. I would do that. But as far as just to go out and just wing and ding and do, this part of it, no, I wouldn't want to do that.
All right. Skill-wise, I mean, do you think your skill set's still good? You always seem to be very, very versatile. You could fish deep. You could fish shallow. They have so many new techniques, and electronics are such a key in today's game. What are your thoughts on that?
I think when you take the electronics out of play, I can still compete and beat anybody on the water today. With it just, give me a little bit of time to get back and get adjusted. I can still be very competitive in that part. But if it comes into the electronic part, I need a lot of work there to be able to be competitive.
Do you remember what you were running in 2011? Graph-wise?
Say that again.
Do you remember what you were running electronics wise? Like what model you were running your last year?
Was it the X12? Would
Yeah.
that be right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've missed that, what, Lowrance, right?
Yeah, Lowrance.
So you've missed the HDS 1, the HDS 2, the HDS 3.
All the way down the line.
The carbons, and now
side
now
imaging,
the lives.
down imaging.
No, you had side and down imaging then, didn't you?
I don't think
it was
so.
just coming about.
Yeah.
It was just coming around, and the first time I really seen the down imaging. Aaron and I went to California when we was on a California trip, and we went. He took me. I stayed at his mother's house with him, and we spent probably we had like 4 or 5 days, to kill. So we went to Castaic and Castaic, and I was in his boat, and I'm laying down in there in the seat, because he got on the trolling motor. It was a trolling motor only lake, one of them. And I'm looking at this thing, and I kept looking at the middle of it, and I see this big black spot down the middle, and I go, what the hell is this, Aaron? And so he goes, hey, I go, dude, it's awesome, And so we went on, and he messed around after, and so he started showing me a lot of stuff about that, and then I bought one as soon as I come home after that. And once he showed me where he could show me ripples in the sand, and he could read it really, really well, and at that time, and it, but now the side imaging wasn't around just yet. It was just all down imaging.
Jake in Ohio, that's an interesting comment.
Yeah.
NPFL.
But if you really look back, I think one of the first tournaments won with the GPS, I did that in '94 with, and I can't remember what unit that was, but if you look back on there where I won, I think the antenna we had mounted to the rail on the Ranger 360, I think it was a 361B I had back then.
That was Santee, right?
Yeah, Santee Cooper.
Yeah.
I was fishing a ditch about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile offshore out there, and I could pull back up on that ditch every day.
Yeah. Do you know about the NPFL?
Give me the long version.
There's a fourth organization that has started a professional tour that's going to launch in 2021.
$5,000 entry fee.
Yeah.
125 anglers. Top 40, it has 40 or 50 or something like that will get $10,000, $50,000 championship, 6 tournaments across the Midwest, 2 in the spring, 2 in the summer, 2 in the fall. That's the rough and dirty version.
Yeah, you might check it out.
Okay.
NPFL.
I'll get you to send me the link to it.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
but kind of just saying it just kind of sounded like that's the type of derbies tournaments, whatever you want to call them, you were looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do something like that. That would be okay. Where as long as you don't have to keep requalifying, I can pick and choose which ones I want to go.
I don't know. You have to talk to them about that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Hojo in Arkansas wants to know, what's your favorite racetrack?
Oh, it's got to be Churchill Downs.
Yeah, I would
the Twin
think.
Spires. It's my home here. In the Kentucky Derby. It's great memories, and I was born and raised here, so that's my favorite track. In the spring and summer, and in the fall, I like coming down under the Gulf Stream, and I even like going to New Orleans. So those are some really great tracks.
How's the golf game?
Golf game, we got it down to about 3.1 right now.
Good Lord, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been fortunate. I started playing in the Golf Channel Am Tour events a few years ago, and I made nationals last year. Wound up finishing 9th at nationals in the senior division. So it's coming there, but and I go fishing for a few days. It takes away from the golf game, so it's not as good when I come back.
Do you play tennis? I'm just thinking of other individual sports. You appear to be very talented at every individual sport. So I'm thinking tennis, chess. What other individual sports do we have, Mark?
Bowling.
Bowling.
Well, I can bowl a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't do it as much. But the tennis thing, I started a little bit when I was young, and I thought it was boring, so I never messed with it.
All right. There you have it. Dude, you know what would be cool, and Matt and I have talked a little bit about this. If somehow, some way, and this is something that probably will never happen, but how cool would it be that you have one day, one evening, where every single person over the history of the Elite Series that has a blue trophy, they all get together and come together as a group, because think about the people over, 13 years, Matt?
2006 was the first
14 years. The people that have those blue trophies is still a very limited number of people. And to see and the conversations that would take place if you could get that group together, I think would just be outstanding. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
Oh, I think that would be a great idea. I'm sure we can have some type of deal at some point in time to bring all that together.
Yeah.
I would love to intermingle with a lot of the guys again and talk to them and just, old stories. I got one sitting behind me. I don't know if you can see it in the deal, but it's my heavyweight belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's very few of them out there, and I missed one by 2 ounces, and then I got this one on Gunnersville. So that's one of the great accomplishments I think I've done in fishing, which is a hard feat. I don't care where you go, and but really, I just had I don't know, when you get these whims that I do lately, it's I don't know. You think about all the hard work it takes to get back. I say you have second thoughts at times, but I'd really like to see a lot of the guys again and go into that.
Yeah. Do you stay in touch with any of them?
Yes, I do. I talked to Creed a little bit. I'm actually this winter, Chuck Economo. I don't know if you remember Chuck.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
He called me out of the blue, and I happened to be in Fort Lauderdale, and I go, man, I'm getting ready to head home. And I go, why don't I stop by to fish with you for a day there in Palm Beach? And on my way home, and when we pulled off the water that day, there was Timmy pulling out because they just got done fishing a major league fishing deal, and he was over there. So I seen Timmy. I got to talk to him a while. So I talked to. That's about all I've talked to. I'd send a text to Kevin every once in a while, or one of them guys, Mark.
Yeah.
We don't get to talk much, and you know how that is. You have sight, have mind.
Yeah. Well, dude, it was great having you on, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're super busy, but it was cool to reflect on what happened 12 years ago. And, man, just great to talk to you, and best of luck to you in your comeback.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Enjoyed it. It was good seeing you guys again, talking to you. And maybe we'll do it again another year or so down the road.
All right, man. Take care, Kevin. Great stuff.
All right. Thanks.
All right. See you. All right. There you have it. Kevin Wirth. And, that night at Hooters with the crab legs, it was pretty epic. But here's the thing about Kevin Wirth, and I don't know, obviously we have a lot of young viewers and listeners out there. I don't think people realize how good he was. And when I say good, I'm talking about he did not really specialize in one certain thing. He was probably one of the most versatile anglers on tour because he could do everything. I remember being on Clear Lake when everybody was absolutely smashing him, and guess what he was doing? Any idea?
No clue.
He's throwing a Carolina rig, of all things. And we pulled up on him, and he was frustrated because he only had like 22 pounds. He's like, I don't get it. He goes, I can't catch anything big. And the next thing I know, I saw him that afternoon, and he obviously made the right decision to move up and target a different area. And he ended up, I don't know, I think that tournament he had 23, 24, something like that. But he made the adjustment, and the ability to not be so focused like who we just had on a couple week ago or whatever with Byron, being committed to the swim bait. He was not like that. He would stop fishing deep and go and fish shallow and be very, very comfortable, but more importantly, be very successful. Super hard worker too.
I don't think
that's the other thing.
Many people realize too that he's in the Millionaires Club as far as his earnings, 1.16 million and 31 top 10 finishes in 200 tournaments. So 13 Bassmaster Classics. There's no surprise. And he didn't, you look at his finishes, Mark. Even when he retired on that, he had a 93rd on the Arkansas River in 2011, but there aren't many 60s or 70s or 80s in his, which speaks to what you were talking about, his versatility to be able to catch him and to make 13 classics. A lot of those 20, 30, 40 finishes that are grinded out, catch one here, do something there, hang in, make the cut, get the check, and then every once in a while something would be in his wheelhouse that he would pop.
Yeah, super hard worker though. I can't give him enough credit on how hard he worked. I know he told a story about he didn't practice that much at the Classic or whatever that situation was. Folks, I'm here to tell you the dude worked super, super hard. And I think a lot of that came from his experience, obviously, in the horse racing world.
Yeah, and those horse people work their tails off, too.
Yeah, I mean you see that.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, let's go ride the horse. It's like high stress, one after the other after the other.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on the show, Kevin. All right, real quick, just to let everybody know that's watching, if you're watching the replay or watching live, I don't know what the deal is with the camera. We had a little camera glitch right before the show.
Second behind or something?
I have no idea. Dude, nothing changed from yesterday. I didn't press any buttons. Sometimes this stuff just, it is mind-boggling.
We got the YouTube figured out. So
yeah. So I apologize for the little delay in the camera issue with the voice and the movement and all that and everything. Sorry about that.
I'm interested in what you have to say about this. You teased it before. If you go to basszone.com, you got the Apex games at the top there. You can click on that. You can get signed up for that. But then underneath it, I mean, there's no link to it or anything.
No.
It just says...
It's just the tease.
BTO presents The Market Live coming in June 2020. It's your time. Can you make it happen?
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see what you're going to say.
Well, here's how I'm going to position it. All right. I'm going to do an entire, either opening or ending dedicated to giving in the entire details. The reason is because I got to make sure I got all the bugs worked out in how we're going to do this. And hence, that was the reason that I asked for some volunteers that if you're selling your boat or selling, a bunch of tackle, rods, reels, electronics, whatever it is, to send me an email. And maybe you can figure it out, maybe you can't. But there are multiple ways right now to position selling stuff. All right? But there's not a specific way that I'm trying to give people the opportunity to position whatever they want to sell.
Like I said, brings me back to the swap shop days in Central Illinois, where my dad, every Sunday morning, would literally dial in the radio, and it'd be on swap shop, and he'd get on. So it was entertaining and functional.
Yeah. So with the technology that is available and the technology that everybody, for the most part, possesses out there, people are going to get their time to sell their products.
Large, I mean, it's not like, hey, I got 2 used 5XDs.
Oh, but hang on a minute. All right. There is going to be an element that will be like the 5 and dime. Okay.
Like the swap shop.
Kind of like, yeah. But Matt and I are going to work together in bringing a platform that is unique, entertaining, engaging, but more importantly, is going to give the viewers probably a pretty doggone good opportunity with our fan base and our viewership base to sell their product.
I got to say, Jeffries has had a lot of ideas over the years, some of which have not been on board with, other which have been, we'll roll with it, die. When this kind of evolved and he said what he's planning on doing here, I went, oh my gosh. I was like, this could be really, really good.
Yeah.
So
and it could be very, very entertaining on how
absolutely
people position whatever they're getting ready to sell. So we got some volunteers.
Frank in Michigan, Matt wanted to sell all of his equipment yesterday. Maybe he'll volunteer.
That would be good.
No, I'm back. I'm ready to go.
All right, he's back in the game. So that's kind of the market. We are fine-tuning the technology, the details, and I've got some volunteers. I'm going to be reaching out. There were some people that I made contact with that they did not have the bandwidth available to be able to do it. So I'm actually going to be reaching out. I do need a couple more people. So if anybody out there wants to volunteer, you got a room full of tackle like Matt that wants to sell it, send me an email, mark@basszone.com. If you have a boat, if you have a tow vehicle, if you have electronics, whatever you have, and you want to be a part of this thing on the initial show of the Market Live, please send me an email, mark@bassown.com, and we will get you hooked up as long as you have the bandwidth and the technology available. Typically, I'd say about 90% of the people have the bandwidth and the technology available. All you need is a cell phone to do what we're gonna do.
That people who typically aren't listening to a podcaster on YouTube.
Yeah. So. Exactly. So can't wait to do this. Hopefully it'll be entertaining, but more importantly, hopefully some of the fans out there will be able to sell their stuff rather than get buried in the mounds and mounds of classifieds that are out there on other websites and other listing services. So we'll see. We'll have some fun with it.
Maybe we'll have someone come in who is like, boat, tackle, everything. I'm doing it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who did that. He did it.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm selling all my stuff. He got rid of the bass boat. He got a catfish / crappie boat. And now he's loving life. He's into the tournament stuff heavy. Sold it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
Hopefully
nice.
not, though, because I feel like most people who get it, you eventually regret doing that, you think? It's either one or the other.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. I want to end the show on this. Over the past couple of weeks, Matt and I have had some very heated discussions about one specific topic. But look, I'm going to look dead in the camera and I'm going to tell everybody we are both very, very passionate about our job, and our personalities sometimes clash. Maybe if we had a GoPro on 24/7 when Matt and I are in the studio, that might be more entertaining than the show itself. This stuff and the way that we feel about certain things is not fabricated in any way. I mean, that is ridiculous to say. If you've watched this show over the history of this show, you would know how, let's just say, hot-headed sometimes that I get and how passionate I get about what I believe is right. Not saying I'm right. All right, because I'm definitely wrong numerous times. All right, but if I am wrong, or if I see something that I believe is wrong, I always try to give a solution on how to make it better, at least when it comes to this show, for the three things that I care about a lot: the anglers, the fans, and the sponsors. All right, and there are people out there that are working very, very hard to try and do that. Perception is a zillion % of the factor, and sometimes what is perceived is not what is real. And some people may perceive that Matt and I, have this meeting before the show and go, hey, dude, all right, we're going to go at it today. We're going to get after it. That's not the case. This guy to my right is enormously passionate about his opinions and the way that he feels. All right. And 99% of the time, it's because he is entrenched in being an angler and loving the game out there. And that's why he is passionate about his opinions. Me, on the other hand, I it's a totally different matter because I'm passionate about the business side of what is taking place. And when you mix it, sometimes, it is oil and water. But for anybody out there to say that what we do is not passionate and not genuine is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right? So this topic has been very sensitive. Matt and I are very opinionated on what we have and the premise that we stand. But, folks, I'm here to tell you, we want nothing but this game to be successful. No matter where it's being played, we want this game to be successful. And the challenges that are ahead of us when it comes to this game are enormous. It really is, from a sponsorship standpoint for the anglers, from an organization standpoint to be profitable, because these organizations have to be profitable in order to survive. It's like you can't continue to be a professional angler and continually lose money year after year after year after year. You're going to go away. It's the same thing with the tournament organizations. So the common cause is to make this game better. And the platform that Matt and I have to voice our opinions, we are so fortunate and have survived so many years to be able to do this. I don't want that whole thing to get lost in the discussions that Matt and I have, because without us being together, this thing wouldn't roll. And I greatly appreciate everything that Matt has done for this show. I value his opinions, and sometimes to disagree is a good thing, all right? But it's the way that you handle it, all right? And the challenges that are ahead of us right now are enormous, and hopefully everybody can understand the challenges, and we can get back to where we were for all parties involved, the anglers, the sponsors, the organizations, and very important aspect, obviously, the fans. So that's all I got to say, Matthew. Did I say it all right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I understand, and I kind of echo your sentiment about the anglers don't have a platform without a healthy organization, and an organization doesn't have a platform without the anglers. Now, does the organization maybe have an upper hand because the anglers can change and the anglers can come and go? Yes. The anglers really only have one or two, potentially three platforms to fish on there.
Yeah.
That being said, I understand with your business and finance background, 25 years at UPS, you know how all that works. I don't have the knowledge and can't see things from your perspective, because just like there are fishing patterns and standard things that fish do at certain times of the year and all that, there's certain patterns and standard procedures in business and how things work and how you do that.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced that. And just like over the past couple years, with me jumping into tournaments, not at the Elite Series level, not at the tour level, but just below, having some success doing that, trying to work my way up. There are certain aspects that I've experienced from an angler perspective that I feel like are difficult for you to maybe relate to.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And that's where that clash kind of comes in. But I mean, always, I feel like you can aggressively or vehemently voice your opinion without being disrespectful and still being chill at the end of the day. But I mean, our pre-show meetings consist of me coming in anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes before the show and, hey, what's up? Anything? I mean, for example, Roy Hawk yesterday is like, hey, man, he doesn't want to go super in depth on that fish. So we'll ask him about it, whatever he wants to say. He says, that was it. That's it. That's all we talked about. We have no idea what we're going to talk about when it goes live, which I think is the beauty of the show here.
Yeah.
You never know kind of what direction it goes down. And I really like those shows that end up down the wormhole, 8 questions deep into something with someone or some topic that we didn't even know was going to pop up. And I think that's part of the magic of it. And then having a podcast platform to where you can explore it in depth instead of saying, oh, well, we're up against the clock.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, we're up against the clock now, Mark.
Yeah. All right. But, man, thank you so much to all the fans. Continue to enter the Apex Bass Games. We're giving back to the fans. And, tomorrow, good show. We're going to have Edwin Evers on.
I may or may not be here because we're doing 4 shows.
You're working on something.
We're doing 4 shows this week, right?
You got something in the works, don't you?
Yeah. I got to go do that. I mean, that's a cool deal.
It is a cool deal.
It's going to be good weather.
Really good weather.
I need to get some unfinished business taken care of. I might win some money and then come back and be on the show Thursday.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I'm doing it. I'm going.
All right, so I'll fly solo tomorrow with Edwin.
You have no idea what I'm doing after this, huh?
I don't.
I'm going to Brad Hallman's house, and I got to film an introduction for the virtual bluegill tournament for the Central Illinois Boy Scouts of America.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
They're gonna watch this video and be like, who is this? And why is he introducing us for this bluegill tournament? But he said I could put some tips in there. Let me tell you what, having grown up in Central Illinois, I know how to catch a bluegill. You got shell cracker, you got logger, you got hybrids, you got warmouths, you got the female sunfish, the actual male bluegills, how they spawn different, they eat different. Number 8, gold wire Aberdeen hook. Chunk of crawler, I prefer the head, rig it backwards. Number 8, BB split shot, 4-pound test. ultralight rod and reel, and get after it.
Dialed in. All right, that's it. We're out of here. I'm flying solo tomorrow, I guess. Everybody, stay tuned.